Kind of Funny Live 2 is happening May 28th and 29th. It's a 2-day event. The first day is going to be a completely ridiculous stage show. What we have planned this year completely blows last year out of the water. And I don't even know how that's possible because we were really stupid last year, and this year's somehow even stupider. Day 2, it's going to be a full day of meet and greets. We're hanging out with all of us. A bunch of Rooster Teeth people are there. Funhouse people are there. Achievement Hunter. It's going to be a grand old time. There's going to be some games to play. There's going to be signings. It's exciting. It's a really fun time. There's going to be exclusive merch. Oh yeah, there's definitely going to be exclusive merch. Go to kindoffunny.com/tickets to get your tickets today. There's a couple VIP tickets still available, so make sure if you want one of those, you act fast. Topic 3 of the day. This one's going to get a bit into some spoiler territory. So if you haven't played Uncharted 4 yet, I recommend you don't watch this topic. You can watch it later at a different time. You can skip forward to the next topic.
So we're taking the muzzles off. I mean, spoils.
I'm just saying this just in case. Who knows?
Oh, so you're saying it might get spoilery.
I have a feeling it will in certain aspects. Okay. First off, I want to say that this topic is brought to you by our Patreon producer, Steven Insler. Steven, thank you so much for making this show happen over at patreon.com/kindoffunny.
I hope you beat Uncharted 4, so he knows he's getting his Patreon shout out here.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Steven Insler's the fucking homie. Also, it's brought to you by all you other people on Patreon. So thank you. Thank you very, very much. Again, I need to make a note of this so that Kevin knows how to do things.
Well, I mean, don't get ahead of yourself. You can make the note. Kevin doesn't know how to do things.
I'll make notes and he'll do something. Yeah. So the topic to quit dilly-dallying, shilly-shallying, as they say.
I don't think anyone's ever said
that. That's literally Riku from Final Fantasy X-2. That was a direct quote for anybody, all the millions of people out there that love that
localization there.
Yeah. Dilly-dally, shilly-shally.
Shilly-shally, ship it.
I think it was like a plot point, actually. Anyways, ranking the Uncharted games. We now have 4 of them that we're talking about here. We're not going to include...
We're including Golden Abyss.
Fine, sure. We can include Golden Abyss. Then we're also including... we're not including Fortune. But I want to give a shout out to the new mobile game that came out.
It's supposed to be pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's a total ripoff of Hitman Go and Lara Croft Go, which is awesome. Great. Let's take that shit and give it the Uncharted treatment. Fuck yeah.
Put it on the Vita.
Totally.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Download it.
Come on, are you
serious?
Gio, how did you let this one get past you?
It's great.
Guys, I think you own it. Maybe put it on the Vita. Maybe support your handheld.
They know what they're doing.
God forbid.
I'm all about this. So I want to have a big discussion. We were going to do this last week.
Sure.
But we decided to give some people time to beat it. I'm assuming most of you by now have beat this game. We've had some time to let it sink in and stuff.
Yeah.
Hit me, Greg.
I feel, like I said in the review, I feel this is unfair to an extent. I feel like Uncharted 1, 2, 3, Golden Abyss, Fight for Fortune, shitty ass mobile game. And it's a joke, but you know, I feel like the Uncharted before Uncharted 4 were very much, let's compare and contrast them. Let's do these different things. Let's talk about how the story and the gameplay compare and And the fact that each one of them felt like a definitive story, that like, because it was always the thing with Uncharted 2 and 3, right? Where it's like, sure, you could jump into those and play them and get a lot out of them. Not as always, not as much as if you knew everything, but for the most part, they're pretty self-contained, other than the fact that Elena and Drake are always broken up and why are they breaking up. But Uncharted 4, as I was saying before, felt like the cap on the dildo. The cap on the silo. We had all these pieces, that the first 3 or 4, if you want to say, that built, and then you put an end cap on it, to where to sit here now and say, well, which one of these is better? Especially when, like, you're the one who keeps saying, you know, when we talk about Last of Us, right? Like, which masterpiece is the best masterpiece? Because they're all amazing games. It seems unfair, and especially, it wraps everything up, and like, so. What Uncharted is the best Uncharted? It's probably Uncharted 4. I feel the gameplay is the best there. I feel the story is the most coherent, and I was into it the whole time. The ending, like before we even get to the epilogue and then into the epilogue, is awesome. And then the epilogue itself, I mean, like, this is the game I always talk about, that when I talked about Uncharted 1 or 2 and 3, really, and maybe even 1 if you want to count the fact that I was always mad they didn't get to kiss more, is the fact that, like, this answers the questions and pulls on the story threads and completes thoughts. You know what I mean? So here's spoilers for Uncharted 4. But, like, when you're reunited with Elena and you're going out into the jungle with her and stuff, she does that thing of, like, where she cuts you off. She's like, we'll have time to talk about this later. Right now we have a job to do. And it's like, and I was like, fuck, yeah. And then right after the next battle, Drake's like, you know what? Fuck that. Let's talk about this. And he kept going back and having those conversations. Whereas in Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3, you're like, she married to somebody else? She married to him? Like, what happened with them? And then at the very end, you get a thing of like, and he puts his ring back on. It's like, well, what was the problem? And like, why? I wanted more. Why did you wait fucking 12 hours to have this conversation?
Yeah.
Why weren't? Because like you've been in a fight with your girlfriend before. I've been in a fight with my ex-girlfriends before. When you're doing it, like you want to talk about it. It's not you put it off this long to get to this.
Let me go find some treasure and jump on some mountains.
Some people are like that though.
Sure, but
I'm not saying the
Drake and
treasure
Elena
hunting
were
aspect
not.
of it, but like but remaining like not wanting to fight. But I agree with you. It is a little
And so like
annoying.
this is a payoff to 3 years and a decade of fandom. You know what I mean? So like, can we really sit here and compare them to it? Not to mention that, as in my head with Naughty Dog games, right? They get better every time because they take from what they've learned and they do it and go on and forth. So I don't know. I mean, if you're putting a gun in my head, literally, I would say, yeah. I it's still so fresh, which I hate doing because you remember it took me years to say Peace Walker was my favorite game of all time because I couldn't just let it usurp Metal Gear without anything. But yeah, probably Uncharted 4 is the best in the series.
I agree completely. I disagree in the sense that I think that this game is 100 times better if you play the other three. I disagree with you specifically, Colin, that like you need to play the other three to really have this be a great game because all of them kind of have the same thing. I think that 3, maybe even more so than this one, I feel like you have to play the other ones to have it hit you in the same way because this one just introduces Sam and it's just like from the beginning. Whether
we're getting new information. If I've been a fan
new
forever,
information, you're in there, and I feel like it gets into via him as a conduit, introduces him to Elena and him to Sully in a way that the player could introduce them to these characters and what they mean. It's pretty clear. It's like, okay, here's the wife and here's the like father
friend,
figure, you know? So I feel like 4 does a much better job of like explaining all that stuff.
Because you're right, because it gives you the everyman, the inserts, what we've talked about in the reviews, right? Where like, I love the moment of being, in terms of if I'm Drake or Sam, I'm Drake. I've been on all Drake's adventures. I know everything Drake does. So like when Sam asks, is it always like this? And he's like, no. Maybe, yeah, it's always like this when he's getting shot at. It's like, that's hilarious because I get that joke. But if I'm jumping in for the first time, I'm Sam when I play that game, and you are getting all that information.
Yeah, so I think that it does a really good job. And again, I've commended the game so many times on its pacing and its story, and I feel like it is much tighter and there's a lot less filler, and it feels better. It feels like I'm continuously progressing and enjoying everything that I'm doing. Not that I didn't in the other games, it's just this one does it so much better. And it is a kind of a pinnacle. And I think that it does all of the things the other games do better. The only thing being the set pieces, because you think back to the Uncharted 2s and even Uncharted 3s, like it has these crazy moments. The more I think about it, I really enjoyed the set pieces in 4 as well.
Is
like,
Nick here?
Okay. Yeah. I really, really, really like it. And it's funny because so many people say, oh, well, nothing could ever compare to Uncharted 2 because that was so fresh and new to us back then. For me, I didn't play 2 and 3 until Nathan Drake Collection
and that's when you discovered I was correct.
And no, it's when I discovered you were actually wrong all those years about Uncharted 3. But again, 3 is amazing. And I would never say that it's not a near perfect game,
right.
But I mean, in comparison to 2, to me, it just does not stand up. So to me, it comes down between 2 and 4. And I think that 2 still has my favorite set pieces overall.
Sure.
But man, this game really does just kind of take it up a notch, and it might not have been as fresh, especially because I had just played all of them back to back. But it definitely was the best presentation of all of it together. And I think that really goes a long way when this game is about presentation. And it is about that experience.
That's a great point.
So I think that 4 just gives it in such a tight package, whether it's the first game you're playing in the franchise or the last. If it's the last, I think it's not even a question. 4 is number 1. Because if you play all of them, it gives you so much fan service that feels like it's a nice payoff and not the shitty fan service, which it could have been.
Yeah.
So my vote's for 4, 2, then 3, then 1.
Where are you putting Golden Abyss?
I didn't play it, so
you're putting it at the top.
Yeah, no, probably.
All right, so then for my rankings, then I'm saying 4, 3, 2, Golden Abyss 1, Fight for Fortune, the shitty mobile game.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I agree with Greg's ranking. Now, this was something that I had a hard time with because I agree with you. It's like, well, what do we like Uncharted for? And it's not really the gameplay. The gameplay is fine. It's competent. It's more than competent, but it's not like fantastic.
That's not what we're talking about.
Right, exactly.
Oh my God, and we got to shoot him in the head.
Yeah, that's not really like what Uncharted is all about.
Right.
Gameplay is paramount. It's king, but it's totally more than competent to get through the game. And you feel like you're powerful and you feel like you're doing what you're doing. But I had a struggle with this because 3 really is my favorite Uncharted game, or it was before 4 came out. And I really think 3 is a special game. I think 3 is a special game for a lot of reasons. And I agree with Naughty Dog's own internal kind of conundrum with this particular thing, which is that they believe fully, from the leadership all the way down to the people that worked on the games, that if 3 came out before 2, people would feel the same exact way. That everyone would be like, 3 is so much better than 2. You know, like, because they just got it first. So like that's their memory of like the jump from Drake's Fortune to Among Thieves. If the jump was Drake's Fortune to Drake's Deception, then they would feel the same exact way about Drake's Deception. And I absolutely agree with them 100%. They absolutely believe that. And
I still think, even for me getting shit about my Uncharted score, right? It's not even people calling me out that when I say that Uncharted 3 is better than 2. It's the fact that Uncharted 3 got a 10 from IGN and Uncharted 2 got a 9.5. If Uncharted 2 would have gotten a 10 and Uncharted 3 would have gotten a 10, the fervor would be so much less. But it's that people think that they played Uncharted 2 and like, this is a 10, this is a perfect, this, and then when it didn't get that was like, and then the game they think that didn't have the wow moments because they've been wowed so much the first time.
Right. The jump from, as you saw, because you played the Nathan Drake collection recently, but the jump we saw in 2009 was a significant jump from Drake's Fortune to Among Thieves that was not seen in Drake's Deception graphically or presentationally because the jump had already been made and that game was turned around quickly. So they were all turned around actually pretty quickly. They made those games in 2 years. And Uncharted 4 took about twice as long. So when I really started to play Uncharted 4, I was disappointed in the beginning because I really feel like the pacing and the ramp up it's slow, and I don't think the pacing is good in the beginning. But it all is overcome, and I said by the teens in the chapters, the game becomes like really fantastic. The story's awesome, the settings are awesome. Not massively into Sam, but I think he's a great character. I think that Sully and especially Sully, but Elena to an extent were underutilized. But I think it all kind of comes together in a convincing way. And since we do judge these games by story, by presentation, by character and character development, by the resonance of those characters and the dialogue, the little things in the production that make the game go, I would have to say 4 is the best Uncharted game. I don't think any of them are as good as The Last of Us. I still think that The Last of Us is Naughty Dog's pinnacle. But again, I would have given 2 a 10 and 3 a 10. I gave The Last of Us a 10 and I would probably give Uncharted 4 a 10. So it's like mixing them up and being like, I don't know which one's the best. But so I would say 4, 3, 2, Golden Abyss 1. And I do disagree with you in the sense, and I've said it before, but like I really do think you're a fool if you play Resident Evil 4 or Uncharted 4 without playing the other Uncharted games. I think that you're absolutely doing yourself a disservice. I think you're doing yourself a disservice as well. And I think that you're totally fucking up the experience. Like I do think that a lot of this game is lost on you if you do not have a connection to these characters, especially in the epilogue.
I mean, especially in the attic. Like I know totally what you're saying. Like I don't think it's. If you were to tell me you're going to do that, because like Nick asks all the time, like, no, don't be stupid.
Me too.
Like,
I mean, I also told Nick, play them first, because I know how much it's worth it. Like I know that it's worth the payoff. And again, like I'm going to go back to this Fast and Furious. You don't need to watch 1 through 4. You could just watch 5 and it's fucking awesome. But if you did sit through 1 through 4, as bad as they can be, there's the payoff of 5 when it actually gets fucking good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's this. I think that there's a difference here because they were all great, of course, before that. But I mean, I would never recommend somebody not watch them because it is so much better of an experience. But I just think that it's a testament to the quality of the game that they do a good job of understanding there is going to be people that are playing this for the first time. And I think that it is still a perfect game for those people. I really do. I think that it's only more perfect for the people that to put the time in to play all the other ones.
It's a great game for those people, but I think so much is lost on them. Like it's none of this matters. Like the thing about Uncharted 4 is that none of it matters unless you play the Uncharted games. Like none of it makes any sense. Like why is Drake working this fucking job? Why is like Sully kind of like absconded from his life? Why is Elena like kind of normalized? Why is like I don't know. Like why is it important that Sam's in the game now? Like well, it's.
I think
I'm like, I don't know. Why is he running around the attic doing this shit? What are all these references?
I think all that stuff kind of
I don't know. I totally disagree with you guys.
Contextualizes it. I think that like, why is he sitting there hitting papers? I don't think that for us that played the game got a better idea of that. Like, I think that
I do.
You watch that and you're like, all right, cool. And then when you see the attic scene, you're like, oh, cool. He had adventures. Like you get that context from it.
I think that's the thing is I think you're underselling a little bit the acting and the setup of it of like just the way he stamps papers. You can tell he's not happy. And then when he sits there and he looks at a beautiful like vista in the painting and starts droning out his just fading away from his wife, you get the longing in the sense of that and what he was doing up there. Like
I don't know.
You have to grab that gun so you know that he's had adventures and he's shooting shit.
I suppose. Like
don't get me wrong. We're all on the same page. That like
Totally
don't
on
be
the same
stupid.
page.
You get more out of it if you played him, but I don't think it's completely lost of like what's happening.
So yeah, I think it's 4-3-2 Golden Abyss 1, or 4-3-2-1 if you're only counting the Naughty Dog games. But I think that they should all be played. I mean, these really are the pinnacle of storytelling, the pinnacle of presentation, the pinnacle of graphics at their respective times. I mean, the funny thing about Uncharted 3 is it still looks better than a lot of games today, running on much inferior hardware that only has 256 megs of RAM to even run the game.
Yeah.
So Uncharted 4 is a remarkable achievement, and I will give a lot of credit to the epilogue, as we were talking about before. Really made the game for me. I also think that, and this is spoilerish, so I'll let you pause or whatever. I'll give you a minute to pause the game or to pause the podcast. But I do think that the epilogue leaves the series wide open, and I think that was intentional, and not with Drake and not with Sully and not with Sam, but with someone else. And I think that was intentional, and I do not think you've seen the last of the series. And,
PlayStation 6.
And
I'm serious. Like that's what I think you do. I think you take a whole generation off, and then if you really want to, PlayStation 6 launch title.
And then and so I think that they really did it treated with a lot of care. And I thought that Neil and Bruce would have even though The Last of Us there's a lot of Last of Us inspiration presentationally and gameplay wise in this game. It's all over the place. They didn't take the cue so much from the dark and dire nature of The Last of Us, and the way I thought Uncharted 4 would end didn't end that way at all. And that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
so
I definitely
I was
agree.
disappointed in one sense because I'm like, it's a little bit of a cop out, but at the same time, it's the way you probably should have ended it.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you guys are so high on 3. Like, I guess I'm out of the context of playing it back in 2009, 2011 or whatever, but playing them back to back, like I feel like three's issues weren't in it not wowing in the same way 2 did. It was just more like I thought it was like way too slow, and I didn't like the puzzles at all. I thought they were like cumbersome and really broke the pace of the game. And it was a little too samey in the sense of there's another sci-fi element to it, but not really. But it's drugs, so it's kind of like it felt cop-outy to me in a way that 2 also felt cop-outy, and then it's just 1 again. But 2 kind of did feel like another start at the franchise. You know what I mean? It was a real step up, just in the sense.
Sure, but that's what I always go back to. I'm like, why I like 3? Because finally it was different. You know what I mean? Getting ready for 2, getting stoked for 2. I disagree. I mean, it's Nate and Sully the entire time, and it's about them, and it's about their story, and it's about their history, which I liked a lot.
I mean, I love the story of it. I absolutely love the story, but like I felt like the gameplay was way slower and way more boring than 2 or 4. So. Yeah, but cool. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know what your ranking is in the comments below.
Sure that you will.
Yeah, definitely. Man, that was only topic 3. Wow, it's crazy.